Welcome back to the Blindsiders. I am Ben here with Brian to talk about episode number 3 of Survivor 50. And we lost a good one to last night, Brian. Your OG winner pick, honestly, from Survivor 46.
One of my favorite characters of the new era.
Mhm.
One of my favorite characters from Survivor, period. I don't want to discredit him by just saying new era. I love Q, so I was devastated.
Yeah, he was doing really good too. Even on his original beach, and then the first half of this episode, I even texted you and was like, "Man, Q is actually looking really strong this season. He's like surprising me."
I thought this was Q coming into his own, being the type of player that I thought he could be in the preseason of Survivor 46, but it didn't work out.
Yeah, I'd say a combination of losing his vote. You could say technically he, I guess, voluntarily gave it up in the exchange with Ozzy, but still put in that position to begin with. And then this swap being less than ideal. Honestly, just this OG Vatu majority alliance just hit with bad luck after bad luck. Obviously you get to the Genevieve of it all in the other tribe. I've never seen people seemingly play Survivor so well, get every bad option possible handed to them over and over again.
Yeah, it's I don't even know. What would be a good example, in a video game when you accidentally pick the wrong dialogue tree and it just keeps avalanching on each other or snowballing on it, where it's just one thing happened and then another and another, and it's just all right, Steph's on her own on a tribe now, and we'll see how Genevieve can do. Colby, I think, will be okay, at least in the pre-merge, but I think him succeeding long term was predicated on this alliance kind of doing well for the whole season. So it's going to be pretty much wiped out, potentially entirely wiped out, except for him and Genevieve by the merge.
I mean, maybe Colby is low key kind of winning here because, if you're asking me, does Colby have a better chance headed into an end game with Kyle and Genevieve potentially into a final tribal council, or Coach and Joe?
It's a good point.
I'm not pointing fingers, but I think he has a much better chance of potentially winning an end game with Coach and Joe, or maybe Jonathan as well thrown in there after a merge.
Yeah, two historically horrible final tribal council people, and Colby, one vote away from winning in season 2, 1 round away from potentially winning, or 2 rounds rather away from winning Heroes versus Villains. Maybe he could pull it off, Ben.
No, I mean, definitely. If you're telling me that alliance ends up being the dominant one post merge, I'm putting all my money on Colby out of that crew to be the one to come out of the W. Yeah,
on it. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't hate it. It would be kind of a nice storybook ending to his Survivor career,
Yeah. But yeah,
let's not get too out of ourselves.
Yeah. This is a major tangent at this point, but regardless, did Q and Steph play this perfectly? I think there were some slight missteps, but ultimately, I just think they were kind of in an impossible situation. If Q had a vote, I think it might have been a little bit more interesting. But I'm going to be the guy who defends Emily here. I think obviously a lot of the micro decisions she makes throughout this episode, not the best. The immediate telling of the Aubrey Idol information only to immediately then flip on Q and Stephanie. Not great. I did think immediately realizing that was a mistake, walking it back, going back to Christian, saying your mea culpas and apologizing. You can tell, obviously, I think Christian has a correct rational reaction, which is, why the hell would you do that? This is like
Yeah.
you're creating unnecessary problems for me. But also, I need you, so I can't be that upset. But I think ultimately here, Emily makes a correct strategic decision. I really like her pulling in Ozzy, which is very funny given that she was targeting Ozzy for the first two rounds of the game, seemingly. But I think it's a really good duo for her.
Yeah, I talked about it on the swing vote that I did earlier today. I think this is great because Ozzy needs an Emily in this game. Cerise was going to be like his strategic mind. She's on another tribe right now. So I think Emily can fill that gap really well.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. And I think like the biggest thing here, if we're like evaluating their kind of decision of like going with the David versus Goliath trio or going with Q and Stephanie, with Q not having a vote, and obviously Ozzy knows Q doesn't have a vote. This is not like hidden information from them.
Yep.
They're basically like, if they go with Q and Stephanie, they're forcing a 3-3 situation here and hoping to basically strong arm Christian off of this trio. Yep. But if they do that, they're still ceding a good amount of power to Q and Stephanie here. Whereas if they just take a round of pause, vote out Q, satiate Christian a little bit, now they can, the next time they go to a tribal council, if they lose again, which I think presumably they will, now they can make the move, go with Stephanie, strong arm Christian with a tie. They're in the exact same scenario, but now the Q piece is off the board and they have more numeric power as a duo. So it's just, I think it's just strictly correct.
I think that like right now, Stephanie so out on an island, if they throw her a life vest, she'll just fall in with them, right? Like what else can she do? Just get voted out. Those are her options. Yeah. Like she can fight it or, not. And, I didn't hate Q. It looks bad that he was like, yeah, vote for me. But, in Q's mind, he was like, it's going to be 3-3 if things work out. And on a revote, if I'm not the one getting the vote, then we're going to lose because he can't vote. So just erasing Q entirely, I think it was fine. I know it looks bad, and Mike being like, you told me to vote for her, that's very funny and like a good confessional, but I think Q was probably playing it as good as he could in that moment.
Yeah, I mean, I think that like it makes for like you said, like a fun kind of narrative storyline and like fun confessionals for Mike. But like Q saying this to Mike changed nothing. They were already going to vote for him. It was not like, oh my God, I can't believe Q misplayed by telling them to vote, telling Mike to vote for him. It's like, no, it had no effect at all. Yeah. So, I mean, that's like maybe a little bit results oriented to think about it that way, but like fundamentally, I've seen the argument. I don't know if this is the one you're making of like Q can't vote, so like the split on the revote would go in their favor, but based off of the like Sam and Sierra rule that they've now kind of committed to, that actually I think wouldn't be the case. It would still be a 3-3 tie. Angelina, I think, would still be able to vote in the revote based off of the newest ruling.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah. I mean, we talked at the time during our coverage of 47 that it's inconsistent with how Survivor has historically handled ties, and especially inconsistent with how Survivor has historically handled three-way ties in particular. Like the logic does not really match up that Jeff uses, but that is the precedent that they've established at this point. So I
wonder if the small tribe numbers really kind of screw up everything.
Yeah, I mean, like, realistically, the issue is just people losing their vote. Like, if people didn't lose their vote, none of this would be an issue.
No, totally. Yeah, no, I had forgotten about that because I had it so in my head that this is how votes work. But
I mean, that would make it. That's how it would make sense to do. Like, that would be like a way to kind of reclaim some of the power you've lost from losing your vote. Is like that's like a way to play around it. But no, they don't want to have to be given a way to play around it, I guess. So.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. I would have been the same thinking as Q if I was in his position. So I wouldn't have remembered it.
Yeah, I mean, and also I think what he was trying to do was like, you know, maybe he was thinking it was a 3-3. Maybe he was thinking it was like leaning 4-2, but like Emily and Christian were shaky. And so I think that his idea was basically trying to like strong arm Mike into being like, hey, Angelina's going either way. And he does this also by like pretending he has an extra vote. Like, you know, we have the votes, Angelina's going either way. If you don't want to vote for her, then like vote for me. And like that be kind of a way to like almost like, you know, Tyson and Heroes vs. Villain style, like bait him into making a bad vote, thinking that the votes were a certain way, when in reality they were a little shakier, and that kind of giving him the room to get like a plurality vote off. So I think that was the read of how he was approaching it, which like it's creative. I don't think it's really a strategy that is ever going to work, especially at a returning player season with these caliber players.
Right.
But I mean, I guess it did technically in Heroes vs. Villain, so maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
Yeah. That was just such a crazy situation. Yeah. Like, there's no real benefit for what Tyson did.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of like what he was. I think that's what like he was going for here. Was like he was like trying to like almost bait Mike with a little bit of strong arming into making a suboptimal play, because he was like trying to shake his confidence on where the votes were.
Yeah, and I think Russell has said that he was so exhausted at that point from the back-to-back seasons that he was kind of like, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. You know? But it worked out. So, but yeah, I mean, what do you think of the which tribe do you want to talk about next?
Let's talk about, I think that the Charlie and Rizzo stuff was kind of interesting. It should be quick, because I think the other tribe probably is going to be a little bit deeper, because we didn't really get much from the New Steel tribe other than the
Rizzo trying to manage his first impressions again with a whole tribe of new people. I saw someone, do you think Suri was getting Corey flashbacks with Rizgod?
I mean, with this whole tribe, like the tribe is like all new era players who have played in the last few years, and then like her and Rick, and that's it.
Right. It's a good point. And she was so funny. This thing being like, I don't like want to be like this, but I have to be like this. And like, it reminded me so much of Big Brother, where she would have these conversations on feeds and she'd be so engaged, and then the person would leave and she'd just be like, I fucking hate that person so much. Like, I don't want to talk to them.
Yeah. Cut to Felicia, cut to Bowie, you know. Yeah. Corey, as you mentioned.
Yeah, it was so fun seeing her kind of like, I'm too old for this shit with these new era players.
Yeah. And also we did get the scene in the jungle of Dee and Jonathan, who were not on the same side on the original tribe together, both coming together and being like, yeah, we got to take out Saria as soon as we get a chance to. Not great.
Not good. Not what you want to see.
Yeah. I mean, whether this kind of, I guess, foursome coming from that tribe of Dee, Jonathan, Charlie, Camilla, like holds strong in the swap, whether they even ever go to a tribal council, given that they have arguably the best physical player and the best puzzle player in the last like decade of the show. It's probably, I would say, low likelihood that they outright lose a challenge. Maybe if they start doing double boots, they could come in second, but I think it would be hard pressed to find a challenge that the Survivor has done in recent years that this tribe would lose at.
I agree. I just don't see how they could lose. So, and now they're going to be up a number. They'll be able to sit Suri out if they need to. Like, it's a good situation for this tribe, but there is friction. And we had maybe my favorite moment of the night, the Vietnam flashback for Charlie, with like the, in games and stuff, when you get flashbanged, it has that ringing. And they did that ringing for Charlie when Rizzo was saying that he didn't vote for Soph in the final 3 last season. So I love that, Ben. What did you think of that moment?
Yeah, I mean, I think that like that also being right after or like shortly after Rizzo just straight up asking him like, yeah, you and Maria not cool anymore, right?
Yeah.
That whole thing, you guys don't talk, right? And he's like, yeah, we don't talk anymore. you just see like the pain in his face that like this is not like a conversation that he wants to be bringing up. And I saw like a tweet or something where it was somebody was like, I can't believe you didn't ask D about Wendell next,
Yeah, me either.
It's just like I don't know. I love Rizzo. I think he's been a really fun addition to the season so far. I hope he kind of sticks around a little bit longer at the very least. But there has been a handful of moments this season where he's had a low level of tax, let's say.
Yeah, just not reading the room well at all. And I like that Charlie was like, listen, that rubbed me the wrong way. And yeah, I probably do have baggage from my season, but it doesn't change the fact that it rubbed me the wrong way. And I want Rizzo out now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think the only when people come on to a returning player season and they aren't like a previous winner, like they've lost, the previous season, they pretty much always are coming with the baggage of like wanting to correct whatever they see as the reason they lost their first game. And like Charlie played a pretty clean game front to back, and you could argue the one mistake that you could point to him making was picking a bad ally that was not going to be actually like, ride or die for him, even like through a jury vote. And so if you have Rizzo like now approaching Charlie for this potential like, duo alliance to like maybe like run the game down together, like the first things that are going to start like circling through Charlie's head is this a person who, if we turn each other in the end game and I put him on the jury, is he going to vote for me to win, or is he going to be, bitter and make up excuses as to why he doesn't vote for me? And, Rizzo, like whether Charlie is like looking for excuses to like see red flags or whatever, like Rizzo gives plenty of opening here by, in my opinion, like not really accurately telling the story of 49. And like, because Rizzo, like Savannah was Rizzo's ride or die. Like they were number one allies from basically day one. Like you could say that by the end of the season, maybe he was like on a personal level closer to Soph, whether or not that's true. But like, it's not comparable at all. And like, you can kind of even see when it gets brought up in the conversation, like Rizzo kind of deflects it, but he deflects it in a really like bad way where he's like, no, it's not the same because my vote didn't matter. Right. Yeah. Like his argument was basically like Savannah won by a landslide, so my vote didn't matter. Whereas like the actual counter to that was like, no, I was actually very close to both Savannah and Sophie. Like we were basically a trio. Like, it wasn't like a situation where we were like a clear duo, me and Soph together. And I was like, no, screw my duo. I'm voting for this other person I had no real connection with. Like that was the actual argument. But I guess maybe he had previously set up an expectation that him and Savannah weren't close. And that's kind of like what they were coming into the season planning to do. And like, even with her gone, he didn't want to like, have that hanging over him. But it's just unnecessary lies.
Yep. Agreed. And like Savannah's not here anymore to like contradict anything. You could have just said anything.
Yeah.
He could have just said he voted for Soph. Like, I don't know. I mean, maybe Savannah already said Rizzo voted for her to win. Maybe, but I don't know. Bad game playing here. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm like, maybe Charlie gives Rizzo an opportunity to clear the air on this. It feels kind of like his mind has been made up, and given that like, the pre-existing what was it? The old Kahlo, I guess. The old like Kahlo foursome does have just like a flat majority on this tribe, and Jonathan does seem, copacetic with D, despite them seemingly being kind of on opposite sides. And we get confirmed later that if they had gone a tribal, Chrissy would have been voted out. You know,
Yeah.
it really does kind of feel like that foursome is just going to decide who goes. And it feels like they're, you know, it's going to be a fight of like the Jonathan D coalition being like, you know, we can't pass up a shot on Suri for Rizzo. Like, why would we do that? Versus Charlie being like, I really want to get Rizzo out. And it's just going to be who wins that fight, if they ever even lose.
Right. And it reminded me a lot of Game Changers when Sandra got swapped onto that tribe with a lot of people from Ben, I don't know, the Blue Tribe. I don't know what they were called.
The Andrea and Zeke tribe.
Yeah, the Andrea and Zeke tribe. And Zeke like laid it out like, and I think it's a very similar argument for Suri. Is like tons of people have been like, we can get Suri or Sandra whenever, and then they don't do it. Like they have to do it, and they did, and it was probably right for them.
Yeah, no, yeah, 100%. I mean, look, they probably should vote out Suri. I think that like the reasoning that they would use to vote out Rizzo seems like baked very heavily in emotions and false information. Yeah. It would be like a huge capitulation to like kind of irrational gameplay. I would say to vote out Rizzo over Suri here. I think Suri is a clear target, which sucks. I mean, I just kind of hope they don't lose. Like I don't want either Suri or Rizzo to go. I think that, you know, I'd like to see them just keep on winning, you know.
And that was the one nice thing about Game Changers. Suri never had to go to tribal council in the pre-merge. So we were never in this position with her that season.
Yeah, and I mean, she was in a really strong spot. We even see at the start of this episode, like, we kind of skipped over a little bit because we went straight into the swap. That Suri was like basically the fourth in this alliance, this like trio that we'd kind of seen running the show. Yeah. And we'd like speculated this a little bit, but like we kind of are getting like pretty firm confirmation now at this point. Like Suri is the third person to find out about the idol that Christian finds, even though she finds it out about it with, you know, caged in a bunch of lies. She technically does find out like the important information is correct that she's given, which is that, you know, this is how the boomerang idol works, and Aubrey is the one who gets it. You can see that Suri is very happy about this, which I think also confirms some of our preseason expectations and suspicions that Aubrey is somebody that Suri would want to work with, given their history on Game Changers together.
Yeah, so, yeah, they worked well together on Game Changers. Like they were working together on the boot that she went home, right? Like, yeah. So can't see why that wouldn't be a good situation. I don't like Aubrey isn't getting onto these tribes that work for her that well, but like maybe if she can, you know, duck and weave and make another swap or emerge, she could actually find some allies.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely is shitty that like basically this entire tribe wanted to work with Aubrey going into the swap, and the one person from this tribe that ended up on her swap tribe was Joe, who was like the person who was the furthest outside of the core group, who was probably the next to go if they lost another challenge.
Right.
So like, who has no information about the idol, that has no connection with her at all. Like literally, if she's in a tribe with Christian, Christian, Devons, Emily, or Suri, or even maybe even Ozzy, like she's in a pretty decent spot to work with them. But she got swapped onto a tribe with none of them, which is so insane.
I feel like, you know, are we done talking about this tribe? Because I'll save it for Aubrey when we talk.
Yeah, let's go. Let's switch to Aubrey of it all. I think this is like a really interesting tribe. We got a lot of good content from them.
I feel like Aubrey, since Ko-Rong, even in Ko-Rong, you know what? She lost 2 allies to medevac. Aubrey just has bad survivor luck.
I mean, you say that, but like, she'd be basically dead in the water if she wasn't on winning tribes and didn't get gifted an idol that she did nothing to earn.
That's true. So she has mixed luck this season, but like two medevac people, Malcolm going out in like a weird ass tribal council, Sari going out in the advantage get-in, bad draw on Edge of Extinction where she gets on the tribe that wanted nothing to do with returning players when the other tribes seemed open to their returning players, and now everything this season. But you're right, she does have the idol and she does, get on tribes that are winning. So I guess it's not all bad, but it is like funny how the game is just kind of, giving her hit after hit these last few years. I can see why she's had a little bit of survivor trauma, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think especially Edge of Extinction, she had a really bad experience. But like I haven't hidden the fact that like I think Aubrey is an overrated player.
Right, yeah.
I think that like what we've seen so far this season to me is just further confirming to me that she's like not that good Survivor. And like just kind of like happened to like grab a couple of good allies and go wrong, and then everyone else kind of just played themselves out of the game. I think the Korong, I love Korong. I think the Korong cast is really fun and like has a lot of really dynamic personalities. I think it's one of the weakest casts in the last decade in terms of actual gameplay. So I don't know. I just kind of think that we're really just at a point where like the bits of Survivor that Aubrey is good at are just not enough to actually carry her through returning player seasons. I don't really see the vision. And like I said, like it seems a pregame alliance with Christian or some kind of pregame relationship that allowed her to get this idol sent to her, which is obviously good. Maybe she just had bad tribe draws, like as we said, and that's contributed to it a little bit, but like it feels like she's putting in such little effort. And if like Tiffany didn't come to her and not because like in this episode, even like Tiffany is going to bring her the information that Genevieve is spreading around the tribe.
Yeah.
It seems like Tiffany's the only one who has any sort of affinity towards Aubrey on this tribe to even think about bringing her that information. And it didn't seem like a case of like Aubrey going out of her way to try to like play herself into a better position. It was just like Tiffany seemed like she had a pre-existing affinity towards Aubrey and was like, I would rather play with Aubrey than Genevieve. Let me bring Aubrey this information.
Yeah, I do think because of Edge of Extinction, she's like way different this season. She's like so passive in a way that I don't feel like she was on her previous seasons. And maybe because her being kind of too active rubbed the other players the wrong way on Edge of Extinction. Now she's like kind of gun shy. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, but even the moments that we've seen her kind of actively playing, and we see like the way that Genevieve describes what happened at their original beach, which if we're taking what Genevieve was saying, at face value, and that she's not like exaggerating, like at least too extremely, it feels like the story was Aubrey came out of the gate kind of swinging hard, didn't really connect at all, and then kind of like went off moping on her own, and then like had this weird one-on-one interaction with Genevieve where like she was like, she did the I think you're a threat, but Genevieve was trying to work with her, but like she wasn't biting. Like I still don't really understand what the hell was going on in that scene. Yeah, it didn't make any sense at all to me. And so it feels like Aubrey created a problem in Genevieve. Genevieve is now a problem for her, and now she's like kind of retroactively, like it's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy situation where she's like, oh, I knew Genevieve was after me this whole time. And it's like, it feels like she wasn't, though. It feels like she was willing to work with you until you were extremely weird and standoffish to her. And then she was like, okay, well, I guess Aubrey has no interest in working with me. I have to get her out.
Yeah. How do we feel about Genevieve's position in this new tribe? We talked about the bad luck. Like feels like potentially some more bad luck. Yeah,
I went back and forth on Genevieve's kind of play here. where like initially I was like, I don't love this. It doesn't make a ton of sense to tell everyone the same story. It seems like kind of an unnecessary risk that at least one person will just run it back to Aubrey, which is what ends up happening with Tiffany. But it seems like she does get positive reception from the other three people, which is like Chrissy, Coach, and Joe. So like, if Aubrey doesn't have an idol, this play is just straight up successful. But like, because Aubrey has an idol, it might blow up in her face. So it's like kind of like, I would say like a risk to play it this way, but she knows that Colby doesn't have a vote, right? Or does she not? If she does, I think this is less bad.
She definitely does.
Okay, I couldn't remember if Colby. Okay, if she knows, I think this is like a less bad play, right? Because like she has to aggressively get allies on her side at this point in case they lose the next challenge. Like obviously she has Colby, but he can't vote, so she needs to at least get 3 out of the 4 out of Chrissy, Coach, Joe, and Tiffany. And I think she did do that successfully. The question is this going to change Aubrey's decision on who she was going to target? Because like presumably it would have been very obvious that Aubrey was a target regardless.
Yeah.
Even if Tiffany is not bringing this information that Genevieve is the one pushing the target onto her, would Aubrey have still voted for Genevieve either way, is my question.
I don't know. That's so hard. I don't feel like she necessarily saw Genevieve coming just based on her reaction to Tiff giving her the information, Yeah,
that's also my thought as well, which is why I think that it was like kind of an unnecessary mess to make for Genevieve at this point. I think that the bigger thing to do would have probably just been to like form more like natural bonds with people like a Joe or a Coach. Utilize Colby's connections to them. They immediately have this like honor bro thing going. Like there's a lot that she can work with there. Like I would say like really, really lock down Chrissy. Like basically like just like stay on Chrissy. Chrissy obviously has the breakdown situation after Coach has, talk about a lot of people in this episode really lacking in tact. So I think there was an opening here to basically make a very similar play, but not by like so flagrantly doing it as an anti-Aubrey thing. Mm-hmm. And instead of doing it like as a pro-us thing. And then if they lose, start pushing the Aubrey stuff when there's less time for it to backfire on you. But I don't think it's over. I think an interesting possibility I've been considering is Stephanie now knows that Aubrey has an idol because she was told by Emily. So at the next challenge, it's not impossible that Stephanie is able to pass that information off to Colby or Genevieve, in which case they could either split the votes or, try to like flush the idol and get Tiffany out or something like that. Like there are plays here where this doesn't backfire on her.
Yeah. I don't have to see. Like, you still got to lose a challenge.
Yeah.
Ben, at some point, we got to start getting rid of these people a little faster. I don't know what's happening here.
Yeah, we're about to be on day 10 and there's still 20 people left. Like, there's 16 days left and 20 people left. So we got to get rid of 17 people in 16 days. I don't know what they're doing.
Here on out, it will be breakneck. That's for sure.
Look, I mean, they obviously the season has existed and happened. So like they obviously did something. Whether what they did is going to end up being good, we'll have to evaluate when it comes. But like, I'm
a little scarred from Opposite Worlds.
Yeah,
when they accidentally had way too many players near the end of the game and did like a mass elimination.
Yeah. I mean, as long as people are being voted out and not eliminated due to like some insane twist or like a challenge or something like that, Like
Mhm.
I'm fine. Like if they do, I know there's been like talks about these kind of wacky vote things that I know like live games have done before, where it's like one tribal and the two most vote getters both get eliminated. Like, do I think that's a good twist? No, but like, would I be like super upset if they did that? If they really needed to get people out of the game, like they could. There are worse ways they could do it.
Yeah. I wonder if they'll bring back. Remember in season 41 and 42, they had the like, if you play in this challenge and lose, you like could get out.
Yeah,
Hopefully, they don't do something like that.
yeah, no.
We need votes.
I think that I think a lot of the bad twists. One of the great things that they have done in the new era is they tried a bunch of really stupid and horrible things in 41 and 42, and then they did end up canning most of it, which is good. They did keep a good amount of some of the bad stuff, but like they canned most of the worst of it, which is good. So.
Yeah. But speaking of stupid and horrible, Jeff rapped this episode.
Yeah, arguably the worst part of the episode, I would say. We've had 3 really strong episodes, and I would say that was a low point for me of the first 2 episodes.
Yeah, listen, I get it. He's having fun. It worries me that nobody was like, hey, Jeff, I don't know if this will play on TV. Or even the editors. Oh, I guess they didn't have a choice, right? Because he worked drop your buffs into it, so they had to keep it in.
I mean, they could have edited that. Like they could have like cut it down to the very least, maybe like the last verse or something like that. They didn't have to play the entire song. Maybe they did. Maybe it was like a 6-minute rap, and they cut it down even further.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't love that nobody checked Jeff on this, but it does read true to kind of like, I don't know if you listen to On Fire with Jeff Probst, but the 2 producers that they have on are just complete yes men for Jeff, and a lot of the new era is definitely influenced by the fact that Jeff has nobody pushing back on kind of bad ideas,
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It feels like at a certain point, like Jeff kind of transition into being like the worst kind of theater kid.
Okay.
But he's bad at being a theater kid also, so it just doesn't really like.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like he had, kids at some point, or like adopted kids or something. Maybe he just like became kind of corny when he became a dad. I don't know. Because there was a point where Jeff was a pretty self-serious guy,
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what this was. I hope it never happens again. Oh no, we've lost the cringe was so bad that it killed our internet connection. So, uh-oh. Jeff talking shit and DDoS the podcast.
for sure. Because I thought,
Uh-oh, are we back? Uh-oh. All right. Well, I guess while we wait for Brian to come back, you know, I'm gonna do a wrap. No, it's been a fun season though, regardless of Jeff's hard-headedness and his inability to kind of read the situation, the room in a lot of cases, in terms of both maintaining twists that are less successful or like create bad outcomes, like losing votes constantly, and then also stuff like this like kind of little things, or like just like creating an unnecessary bad product as a result. But I don't want to be too negative. Here we go.
I'm using my phone as a hotspot. Lost internet. Sorry about that.
No, you're good. I was confused if it was me or you, and I was like, man, I guess Jeff Probst DDoSed our internet because he like, talk about my twist all you want, but like the second you come from my rapping, it's over.
Yep. He was quick to just take us out. Sorry, Jeff. I apologize. Just let's make a truce here. I don't want that to happen again.
Yeah.
So yeah, what else from this episode that you wanted to touch on that we haven't?
No, I think that it's a good episode. I think that ultimately the correct decision was made by the people who were in seats of power to make decisions. I think that there is intrigue on potentially all three tribes, even if there are tribes I would rather see go than others. I think the best case scenario for me at this point is Stephanie leaks the idol information to Colby or Genevieve. They split the votes. Tiffany goes home, and we maintain the Genevieve versus Aubrey situation going forward. That's like my best case scenario right now. I think Tiffany, I thought Tiffany was fine on 46. I'm not like one of these people who is like, why the hell is Tiffany here? Even though like she's definitely the biggest what the fuck casting, I think, of the cast. But so far she's basically said like 3 words the entire season. She's been strategically kind of irrelevant. I would rather her kind of take the fall here and like maintain the Aubrey versus Genevieve situation a little bit longer.
Yeah, I was thinking about when I was watching the episode that this was like the first confessional I remember her having this season, so not really doing too much, unfortunately.
Yeah, and it's her like tying herself to the pariah of the tribe while a 5-2 majority is being formed against them.
Yep. And
basically only being bailed out by the fact that she has an idol that she doesn't even know about. So
yep, not good. All right, Ben. Any thing else or anything you want to promote before we get on out of here?
No, Ben. It's been a fun few years of reality TV. It's only continued. House of Ellen season 3 has been a lot of fun. Extracted season 2, I've really been enjoying. So. Yeah, just a lot of good stuff going on. Really excited for the rest of the season, and hopefully it stays at or above the level it's been so far.
No, I totally agree. As for what we're doing, check out the main channel. Got a new video up there this week talking about Marathon and the reception to it. So, check that out. I think it's a good one. I've also been playing through Resident Evil games lately. I've been doing videos on those. If you want to hear my thoughts on those, including the new one, go check that out. Wicked Good Sports, go check that out for sports news. And History is Wicked, looking to make a video. Hopefully next week we'll, get back into the swing of things for, I guess, season 2 there. But yeah, I've been having a lot of fun talking about Survivor 50 when Jeff's not, taking us off the air or knocking my internet out, whatever he's doing. But yeah, thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next one.